Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stampin' Chat Live. I am Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's exciting to see all of you coming in from around the United States and all around the world. Today, we're going to have some fun with ink blending, and this whole live is going to be about ink blending, tips and tricks on how to get a good blend, what the best tools are for success, and also how to choose the right colors so you get a good blend. This is all key into getting that super smooth look that we see out there in the ink blending world that we're all trying to achieve. But before we get started, let's say hello to Tom.
Whoops, that's you.
Oh, that's me?
Hey everybody.
Hey, how are you?
A little bit mixed up, but hey, doing okay. So blending is the theme.
Blending.
So in lieu of the word of the day, we're going to have various blending idioms peppered throughout the live. What do you think?
Blended words of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
As in, this might be the be-all, blend-all of blending videos.
Oh, no, it's starting early.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so back in the dead space. Have a good one.
It just disappears. Oh, well, thank you. Yes, my shirt. I got to show you my shirt. In honor of ink blending today, I wore my ink blended shirt. Look at that. It is my rainbow ink blended shirt. Isn't that cute? Yes.
Outstanding.
I did not make this shirt. No, I did not. I bought it, and when I saw it, I thought, oh my gosh, that is our ink blended rainbow. I got to have it, got to wear it on a live. So thank you so much. It does look like ink blending, and it looks, what's nice about this shirt, this is exactly what we're going to talk about. This is the Roy G. Biv, I can't do it. There we go. The Roy G. Biv of shirts right here. So we're going to talk all about Roy G. Biv and why that's important and how to interpret that when it comes to colors that aren't that typical primary rainbow. All right, so let's get started first by talking about the best tools for ink blending. Okay, so I'm going to start here with the top 3 things that you need for great ink blending. And the first thing, and the thing that I think really, really stifles good ink blending, is cardstock. So I highly encourage you to get the smoothest cardstock that you possibly can. And I do hope that at some point, you'll try one package of the Gina K Designs Layering Weight White for ink blending, because you'll be able to feel the difference in the smoothness between something like this and something like a Nina cardstock or a Bristol cardstock. You'll be able to feel how smooth this is. And smooth cardstock equals smooth blending. Definitely the cardstock is one of the top 3 tickets. Okay, the second thing is good quality ink. So when you're looking at ink, you want to make sure that you're using a good quality ink. Now, what are good quality inks? Most inks out there will do ink blending. So something like a distress ink and an oxide ink, I mean, they were pretty much designed for ink blending. So they're going to do great ink blending. But not all dye inks are the same. So that's really important. There's this big myth out there in the industry that all dye inks are the same. They all come from the same manufacturer, so they're all the same. It's not the case. They're not all the same. In fact, when companies go to the different manufacturers, and there's 2 big ones here in the United States that most of the companies are going to, they ask you what you're trying to achieve with your ink. What do you want your formula to do? And some of the companies want their dye inks to be watercolor ink. So if that ink is the kind of ink that you can just watercolor away and it acts just like watercolor, it may be fantastic for stamping nice solid images, and it may be fantastic for watercoloring, but it may not blend as smoothly. Now, if you have an ink that was designed for ink blending, for that smoothness, you're going to get a nice solid image from that, but you may not be able to do as many watercolor type techniques with it. But you're going to get the smoothest ink blending. That is a formula that we were very, very, we really wanted this formula. We really wanted as much of a smoothing agent as we could get into our ink while still allowing it to be a solid image stamper and to still be a little water reactive. Not as water reactive as like a distress ink or an oxide ink or some of the watercolor inks. And distress and oxide, they're their own formulas. That's something completely different. None of the companies that have these kinds of ink pads have those formulas. Those are proprietary with Ranger. But the Gina K Designs ink is a proprietary formula. It has a smoothing agent in it, and it is different than some of the inks that are out there. So our ink, it does have that smoothing agent that really does help. I hope that makes sense. It's not always easy to explain. And after explaining all of that, if you don't have our ink and you already have a bunch of other inks, use them. Use the other tips and tricks that I'm going to tell you today, and your ink blending will definitely improve. So I'm not saying run out and buy all of our inks. What I am going to encourage you to do is, if you don't have any inks or you're thinking about starting a collection, give us a try. We have pads and cubes, and if ink blending is in one of your, top 5 stamping techniques that you like to do, you do want to use something that's going to blend well. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's the second thing. So we've got cardstock and we've got ink. Now let's look at the third thing, blending brushes. Okay, so how can Bling Bling Crafter, how can you tell which is which? Well, I guess you kind of have to look at what the company does the most with their inks. Like some companies, you'll see the people that make videos or whatever for the company do lots of water reactive techniques and watercoloring and stuff. So they're showing you the best parts of their ink. So if that's something you want, that would be a good ink choice for you. Solid stamping is across the board. All the inks are good at solid stamping. There's foam pads, and there is like the linen felt pads like we have. There's some differences there, but they all give you good solid stamped images. So don't be fooled into thinking that only one will give you a good solid stamped image. That is not true. They will both give you a good solid stamped image. It's just how you use them that makes it different whether or not you get a good solid stamped image. For the foam pads, they're very squishy, and so ink gets pulled up into the fine details of those from those ink pads. So what you'll find is, maybe we go to the front shot because I'm just talking too much. What you find with those kinds of pads is you've got to use a very, very light touch with them, or the ink gets caked up into the fine details and you don't see the detail as much. You don't have that same issue when you use the linen pads. You get a much crisper, detailed image, but you can get the same image with the foam pads. It's just that it's a different technique than with these pads. With the foam pads, you might be able to stamp it once and get a solid image, and with the linen pads, you might want to stamp it 2 or 3 times with your MISTI to get more of a crisp image or solid image when you're using big silhouette stamps. But other than that, dye inks are dye inks in that they will all give you a good solid stamped image. They will all dry relatively quickly. But the difference is when it comes to ink blending, that does make a difference. And the smoothing agent absolutely makes a difference. Okay, so I'll stop with that. Now let's talk about blending brushes. No, Artist Choice is not the paper I'm talking about. Artist Choice is actually a rougher cardstock. It's very similar to the way the Nina Solar White feels. It's got that tooth to it. This is our cardstock. It's our regular layering weight white cardstock. I will link it in this video so you can find the exact cardstock I'm talking about, okay?
A question about photo paper.
No, photo paper, most photo paper has a coating on it. And that coating creates problems with ink blending. It kind of skids a little bit and grabs the brush a little too much, and it's harder to get a good ink blend. Okay, so now the last component that you need that's really good is a blending brush. So let's go to the overhead so I can talk about this. So this blending brush, this is the Gina K Designs blending brush. Now, when we had our blending brushes made, they sent us about 10 different bristle samples. So I know people say, oh, they're all the same. They're makeup brushes. They're like the ones from Amazon where you can get makeup brushes. Those makeup brushes are good. They actually work okay. But there is a difference. And so when you are just starting out, or if you have a problem with ink blending, the bristles can make a difference. So our blending brushes are really super smooth. They're just so soft. And I tested, well, some of them I didn't even like because I could feel that they were too rough. And you'll see that too. When you go out and you look at stencil brushes, some of the bristles are real rough on stencil brushes. Some people like to use the dome type of things, like the sponge daubers that look like, let me see if I have one close by. I do. I have a little one here that look kind of like these. These are okay for certain techniques, but not for the ink blending that we're going to do today. Also, these kind of blenders, these dome blenders, they're okay. They're great for certain techniques, not for this fade that we want to do today. It's too difficult. I mean, you can do it, but man, like why go through all that extra work when you don't have to? So getting a good quality blending brush is another key. So there are your three components right there. Good cardstock, good ink for blending, and a good blending brush. Remember, these are tools. They last forever. Well, at least I say they last forever. I mean, they're going to last you for a really long time. So it pays you to find the best tool that you can afford. If something on Amazon is where your number is, that's what you can afford, but that's better than maybe one of these little blenders, right? So just try to get what you can afford that's the best quality, because you're going to be using them for a long time, and it's frustrating to use something that doesn't work for a long time. Now, let's go back to the overhead. I want to talk about pressure with your blending brushes. So a lot of people come in when they're blending and they start blending and they've got their finger on the head of the brush and they're pushing down really hard. So the bristles look like they're doing this. You can't see it because it's down on the paper, but that's what it looks like it's doing. It's like smashing. Okay. Now that you're going to get a lot of circle marks and a lot of streak marks and things like that when you blend that way. So pressure on a blending brush is really important. It's better to go back and lay down more layers of color smoothly than try to smooth out blotchy, heavy inking. Okay? So when you're using the blending brush, for the lightest layer, you can rest your finger there, but don't put any pressure if that helps you. I tend to do that. Even when I'm not putting much pressure on at all, I tend to rest my finger there. But if you're worried about it, then just hold it like this. And that is going to allow the brush to push back a little bit and not be real heavy onto the paper. Okay? So that's going to give you a very, very light blend. Then, if you want a little more pressure for a medium blend, like medium inking, you can put your finger on there and don't let the brush push back off the paper. Kind of hold it steady. And that gives you a medium blend. And then these brushes are built to have a flexible head, so you can do light, medium, and strong blending. If you want strong blending, then push on the head. You're not going to break this. This is made to be flexible. Push on the head, and that will give you deep, dark blending. Now, when do I use deep, dark blending? I use deep, dark blending when I've got a stencil and I'm trying to blend the center of a flower and I want it real deep and dark. I use deep blending when I'm doing the reverse stencil technique where I've done all this light, beautiful blending, and then I go on top with black ink and I just want solid black ink. I do deep blending then. I'm really pushing on the head of the brush. But to do these like sunsets and things like that, you definitely want to go with a light touch. You can always go back and add more. You can always deepen the color with a different color, but it's very difficult once you get blotches on there to get rid of them. It just is. Okay, so.
So you want to be careful and not go off the deep blend.
I think you should always be picture on screen when you have something to say today, Tom. Yes, don't go off the deep blend, as Tom would say. Okay. Then the other thing I want to show you is our mini blending brushes. And when do you use a mini blending brush versus a bigger blending brush? Okay. So mini blending brushes are great when you're using layered stencils and you just want to get into a small area. Let's say you have a whole flower and there's some leaves on the edges and you're trying not to overlap between the flower and the leaves. It's great to have a smaller blending brush because you can get into small areas and you don't have to worry about, getting into other areas. It's also great for detailed areas of a stencil where you want to just do the center of the flower, or you just want to add a little edging. You could do some edging around the side of your paper, or you just want to add a little edging around a stamp before you stamp it. You can pat some ink on with these smaller brushes. To do these big fades that we're talking about, go with the bigger brush. It's just going to give you a better blend for sure. Big, light sweeps of the brush. Okay. Now let's talk about color. And I know that there's a lot of information I'm giving you here and you're just looking at white paper and that's really frustrating. But here are just some of my ink cubes here. I don't have the whole collection. I need to fix that. I don't know why I don't have the whole collection, but I have enough of them to show you. Okay, so I kind of like to keep my inks in color order, in rainbow order. They're not all in rainbow order because I throw them back in there after. That's going to drive someone nuts, this too. I throw them back in after I'm done at the end of a live and I don't always clean them up. But let's talk about the rainbow and why this is so important. Okay, so the rainbow, you can remember the rainbow. Let's get a pen here. Let me get a pen. I want to get a pen. All right, I'll get a pencil. All right, so we remember the rainbow. I'm taking you back to grade school here, but not everybody learned this. I actually did not learn this in grade school. I learned this in stamping. So Roy G. Biv. Okay, so Roy G. Biv, I know this is really, really elementary, but here we go. Roy stands for red. O stands for orange. Y stands for yellow. G stands for green. B stands for blue. I stands for indigo. And V stands for violet. Okay. Boy, look at that writing. You can tell I don't hand letter any of my stamp designs. Okay, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Let's pull those colors out here so that we can see them. Red, orange, yellow. Where's my green? We'll go with jelly bean here. I can do any green. So blue, this would be more of a blue. And then indigo is kind of like a blue violet and then violet. Okay, so that's kind of the rainbow. Now, for stamping purposes, I would take out one of these. I would take out the indigo. I would put blue next to the purple, and I would put teal in between here, or turquoise sea, like an aqua color. And then I would finish off my rainbow with pink. Now, why do I do that? This is very important, again, is because we're not always making straight rainbows, right? Like my shirt goes, on an angle from the bottom, it's going up this way and it starts at purple, right? We're not doing that all the time. So I like to think of it more as a color wheel. So I like to put these in a circle. Okay. So here's my circle. And look what happens when you add pink. It goes into red. All right. So this is the way I want you to think about color when you're ink blending. You could take a screenshot of this if you want. I do have charts that show this in our Facebook group, but this is the way you want to think about color. Now, here's the good news. When you're ink blending, okay, you are ink blending in this order. You never want to skip more than one color when you're ink blending, okay? So I'm going to skip a color. I'm going to take out orange. I'm going to take out green. I'm going to take out blue. And I'm going to take out pink. These colors will blend together beautifully. Red into yellow, yellow into blue, blue into purple, purple into red. Because what's going to happen when you blend these colors together is you're going to blend with red, and then you're going to blend into yellow. And over the line between them, orange is going to appear. When you blend yellow into blue, you'll have beautiful yellow, and then where it overlaps, it's going to turn into green. When you've got blue, when you've got blue, this is where indigo kind of comes in, really. I should have used the indigo because it will make a little more sense. When you've got blue going into purple, you will get indigo. Let's go with blue here because I used turquoise, but it would still do the same kind of thing. So we'll lay that out again. Teal is kind of in here too. It's kind of over here. See in that lineup? Teal kind of goes in here. But if you got blue, and also if you do this, you're still going to get this color. So we'll stick with our original plan because you will get this color. When you mix these two together, you're going to get more of an indigo. And then when you mix purple and red together, you're going to get pink. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So you can skip. You don't have to have these colors to rainbow blend. Now let's go back to this color, this rainbow again. I'm still going to stick with my blue here. I'm going to stick with that. Okay. Because honestly, these two together will create this really weird, beautiful color. Okay, so now, how do we translate this into all of the beautiful autumn colors and all of the beautiful, pastel colors? Because this is a very primary bright rainbow. All right, so now you look at the rest of your ink and you're like, well, I want to do an autumn card. Okay, I don't want to do this. So let's take a color like tomato soup. All you have to do is look at your color chart and say, well, where does tomato soup fit in here? It's kind of an orange, right? It's a little bit of a red, but it's kind of an orange. So I would give that orange. And then you have a beautiful color like honey mustard. Well, it could be orange, but it's actually a little bit more yellow. So I would put that near the yellow.
You remember where you got the storage tray?
Yeah, it's organizemore.com. That's where I got it. Organizemore.com. Then you get more of these, olive greens. Well, where can an olive green go? Well, an olive green would go with a green, obviously. If you wanted a deep teal, you could put that over in this area. If you wanted to use navy and you were doing a night sky, well, navy is going to blend beautifully into teal. So you see how, as long as you know what this is, you can match up and find the closest color that will work for a different blend. So purple, any purple. If you wanted wild wisteria, you could put it here. If you wanted more of a plum punch, that would be a great one for right there. Navy into plum. And then over here for the pink, well, you could use any pink. I don't have a darker pink than that, but if you wanted to do a lighter pink, you certainly could. And then back to this red. Well, what red would work? Well, any red, maybe cherry red, which is a little deeper. I think I'm off the screen there, but you could see cherry red is a little deeper than that red. So I hope this is making sense. Just kind of get your 8 colors together. And then when you're looking, okay, now I want to do a super light blend. Oh, goodness, I think I want to use sweet corn. Well, sweet corn is a yellow. Well, sweet corn will blend into apple mint. Do you think it will? Of course it will, because it's a yellow and a green. It's going to look great together. What about this? Well, maybe sea glass. So now I'm starting my pastel. Let me zoom out a little bit because this is, I want you to be able to see it all. So now I'm starting my pastel rainbow here. Okay, now I've got to find a blue. How about powder blue? That would be pretty. And then a purple, lovely lavender. How about a pink? Well, we could go with innocent pink, or we could stick with bubblegum pink. And then how about a red? Well, we could do coral reef because that's a very soft red. Oh my gosh, how big is my thing here? And then we need another orange. What about sweet mango? That's a very pale orange compared to the other oranges. So you can see you can keep blending out. You can go around. And the other good news is that you don't have to only use this ring. If you like this orange instead of this one for autumn, swap them out. If you like this red instead of this red, swap them out. This could be your autumn color palette. Maybe you don't like that for your autumn color palette. You want that. Go ahead and swap them out. They're interchangeable because it's not going to change how it blends. Now, let's go back to the basics one more time here. Let me get these out of the way. I'm just going to go back to this basic conversation, but I have to put these all back real quick. It'll just take a second because if I need to find one quick, I won't be able to find it if they're not somewhat in order. Okay, so we'll go back to these basics. Now, remember I said you can skip a color without a problem, but never skip 2 colors because here's what happens. If you have red, you can skip orange and go to yellow because you're going to end up making orange anyway. These 2 are going to create that. If you decide to skip 2 colors, I'm going to skip orange, I'm going to skip yellow. You know what you're going to get in here? Brown. You can't skip more than 1 color on this ring because you'll always end up getting brown. It just, I mean, when you go to the hairdresser and you have too much red in your hair, they put a green toner in your hair to get rid of the red. If you've got too much yellow in your hair, they put purple in your hair or blue to try to get rid of the yellow. So you can never skip, let's see here. You can never skip more than 1 color. So that should help you blending because you might say, oh my goodness, I want to blend with this color. I think honey mustard and plum punch. Look at these gorgeous colors. And faded brick and fresh asparagus. Oh, they would be so gorgeous together. Okay, but you've got your color ring here, right? So how do I blend these? Well, think of the color wheel. Okay, this will work because it doesn't skip. Will this work? No, because that's going to make brown. You could do green next. Can I do purple next? No, I need something in between there because you're going to get to this color and you're going to try to blend them together and it's going to ruin your project. So now I have to pick some kind of blue. What am I going to use for a blue? All right, I'll put a little bit of navy in there. Now that's going to blend beautifully. So I hope that that makes some sense on how to blend color. Always go at least 1 step away for ink blending. All right.
So have you showed us what is at the blend of the rainbow?
Did you come in and say it? Oh, Tom. He's just going to keep interjecting all day. I get the feeling all afternoon. All right. So now we'll do a little test and see how this goes. So let's pick a really pretty, I'm going to do big ink pads for this. So let's pick sweet mango, because that's a pretty color, right? Sweet mango. And then what would be a good? We could either go to a yellow. I think we should go to a yellow. Let's pick honey mustard for this next one, because honey mustard is a good autumn yellow. So now I've got these two colors together. Now we could go to a green, or we could go to a blue. And if we did a blue, where they meet, it's going to be a little bit olivey green, right? But let's do a green. We'll do jelly bean, because I don't want it to be too dark. And then let's pick a blue. So what would be a good blue? I think turquoise sea is a great autumn color. I promise you it's a beautiful autumn color. Okay. And then let's go in with some plum punch. Is that what we have here? Plum punch. Do we have that? I think so. There we go. Let's try that. We could even do teal. We could do fresh asparagus. But let's try this color combo and see how it looks. All right. So I'm going to move this away. I hope you guys got that information. Now, if you missed the color wheel part that I talked about, you tuned in late, by all means, go over to our Facebook group and check out the files section. I have color blends for autumn colors, pastel blends, autumn blends, and rainbow bright blends. And winter, I think I did a winter one too. Okay. So, oh goodness, welcome everybody. Oh, it's great to see all of you here. Okay. I'm seeing people from all over. So I'm actually going to just tape this down so it's not jumping all over the place. And then we're going to do a little blend. And I think we're going to do it through something. So let's cut a piece of masking magic for this, because you guys know I love masking magic. Can you believe I turned that over? Like there's a right side and a wrong side of a blank piece of cardstock. I saw myself do it and I thought, oh, whatever. Yeah, hopefully this video will help and it'll give you some good information. I think actually instead of this, let's use tomato soup. Let me find it. I'm trying to climb up on my ladder. The other night I fell off the ladder trying to take a picture of my card. That was nice. So we have tomato soup, honey mustard, jelly bean green, because I want to go a little lighter. Information on the website. Can you put information on the website? Not Facebook. Facebook is the only place that allows me to upload these kinds of files, Beverly. I'm sorry. And then Turquoise Sea. Okay. So I'll see what I can do. I'd have to talk to our developer. We actually don't have a file section on our website. So we use our Facebook group for everything like that. And if you're afraid to join Facebook for any reason, you don't have to join as yourself. You know, nobody has to know you're there. You can join as Susie Stamper. That could be your name, and you can make your Facebook account private so nobody can see it, but it allows you to join groups. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this down. Let's see how big this is. This is 5. I'm going to cut this down to like 3 3/4 here. So it's 5 by 3 3/4. This is masking magic. And I think we should use one of our master layouts for this. So let me find the set I want to use. Master Layouts 9. This is our masking set. This was designed for masking. So let's do this blend. Should we do it that way? Yeah, let's just do this blend with the oval. So I'm going to get my die cutting machine. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, Beverly, you can always rewatch this episode. That's true. It'll be here, and all of the colors will be, you know, you can take a screenshot or you can take a picture with your phone of any, you know, just pause the video and take a picture so you have the colors. All right. So, Tom, you fought Facebook for a long time, but then you got on and there were some groups that you're interested in, right?
That's right. Sure.
Yeah, and you can do it safely, I promise. Okay, so we're just going to cut a mask out of this masking paper, and I'm leaving a little room down here at the bottom for a greeting. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut that out using my die cutting machine. Oh, that's sweet, Linda. Tom, you provide information. Oh, I provide information for crafting, and you provide enlightenment for their soul. Isn't that nice?
It is.
I think Tom was shocked there for a minute.
Although I don't want to get too chatty, because then I'd be blending your ear.
Blend in your ear. So I'm bringing the die cutting machine back out because I'm getting lost here. Blending your ear. I'm going to use master layouts too, and I'm going to cut my piece of cardstock out of master layouts too, because I want to have a little decorative edge, because this is going to be a pretty simple card. It has to be. I did so much talking and chit-chatting about color theory. All right, so the other thing I want to tell you is I saw somebody in the group was having trouble with getting their dies through the machine, and they were concerned that there was something wrong with the machine because the die bowed a little bit, like it bent a little bit. They do bend. It's such a big die, and the pressure that's put on these dies will bow them a little bit, but you can just very gently, just put them straight again. See how I just did that? So that's not a problem. It's not going to affect the way they die cut. But somebody else said, I had a heck of a time getting this die to go through the machine. And if that's you, all you have to do is, instead of cutting it this way, turn it so one corner goes through the machine first, and it will go through like butter. You won't believe it. It will be so easy to go through. And you'll be kicking yourself for not doing that sooner and getting a hernia every time. Big wide dies like this they do take a little bit of pressure to go through the machine. All right, and while I'm here, I'm going to cut a black panel. Surprise, surprise. Although I will be getting into some charcoal brown cardstock soon. As soon as it comes back into stock, we've got a huge cardstock order coming, and charcoal brown is one of those colors on that truck. And that is a great one for autumn cards, because it's kind of like that brown black mascara, where you just don't want to use the black mascara because you think it's going to be too bright, but you don't want to use brown because you want to look like you're wearing some mascara. Brown black, that's what charcoal brown is like. It's that perfect solution to black when you want something warm. Okay. Boy, I'm just talking away here, aren't I? Okay, so let's get this mask over here on this piece of cardstock. I can zoom in now a little bit. Let's see. Ooh, sorry. I have never tried the Magic Mat. I don't know what that's like, but I'm sure, there are videos that people have used it. You might be able to get some tips and tricks for that if you're struggling with something like that. Okay, so I'm going to start this at the top here. This will be the top, this end. And I just want to get it even, and I can see through it a little bit, which is nice. I want to try to get it even. That's not super even. Might not be too bad though. It might be a little off. But you know what? It will be better than horrible. I think it's going to be a little more onto this side. The beauty of masking magic is you can pick it up. It doesn't tear your paper. You can redo it a million times. So I am just going to do it one more time just to try to get a little more even. There we go. I think that'll be a little more even. And I like to start at the top, make sure it gets on there nice and smooth, and then kind of just tap it down, work my way down to get it on there. Okay, and the big important part is that you seal around the oval because you don't want the ink to sneak through there. Okay, this should be not any better. Oh my gosh. I know I shouldn't be such a perfectionist, but you guys, maybe I just cut it off. I think I did. I cut it a little off. So we'll just go back to what we were doing before.
Are you blending over backwards to make this work?
Yes, I am. I'm blending over backwards. Tom, we need a drummer here to go bump. All right, that's going to be good enough. It doesn't look any different on any of those 3 tries. So. But at least my goal here is to make you understand that better than horrible sometimes has to do. Okay, so we're going to start with that tomato soup at the top. And I like to use a separate blending brush for each of the colors of the rainbow. So that doesn't mean I use a separate blending brush for every color in the collection. That just means I have a brush that I use for my reds, one for my oranges, one for my yellows, and so forth and so on. So this probably has tangerine twist. It probably has sweet mango on it. So I'm just going to rub off the color a little bit onto a paper towel just to get rid of some of that excess color. Okay. And now I'm going to use, this is the ink stand. This is by the Ink Stand Shop. I love these. I use these all the time. I'm sure you see me use these all the time. They sell them in their store. And they also have this cute little one for ink cubes. I like that too. It really does help with ink blending because you don't have to hold the pad. You can have this hand free for what you're doing, and then you can ink up your brush. So check their store out. They've got a great little store. It's a family business, and I like them. Okay, so I'm going to start. And remember, you don't like, if something's uncomfortable, your paper moves. So turn it so that it's the most comfortable. So we're going to start very light-handed. I'm not even going to touch the tip of the brush. And I'm going to start way out here. And I'm just going to bring this color in. And you can see I'm doing very, very light blending. Very light blending with this color. And I'm kind of following around the edge of that oval. And you can see how light that is. I don't know what that is. There was something on the paper there that grabbed that, but that's all right. We'll be stamping over it. But can you see how light that blending is? Again, I can go back and add more over that to darken the color. See how it's getting darker? But I'm still using a light hand, so you're not getting any streaky marks. You don't see any big swirls or swooshes. I can go back again, add more. I can really focus up here at the top and make that the darkest spot. See how it's getting darker? But I'm still using that very light hand. Okay, so there's my first color. Now I'm going to add that honey mustard. I don't wash my blending brushes at all. I do have a brush here that had some honey mustard on it. So I'm just going to use this because that was the last color I used on it. I don't wash my brushes ever. You can wash them. If you wash them, don't submerge them in water for a long period of time. Wash them until you can get most of the ink out, but a little bit of maybe baby shampoo, and that's it. Something that's low suds, or you'll never get the suds out. And then when you dry them, don't store them this way when you dry them, because the water will pool down into the casing, and that will soften the glue, and your brush head will eventually fall out. If you're going to wash them and you dry them, store them upside down on a paper towel and let the water run away from the casing. But honestly, I don't ever wash my blending brushes, ever, because, I have one for each color family. So I've got my 10 brushes here. Then I have a couple extras that I use sometimes when I'm teaching a class and I want to show a new blending brush. I will use it with a new color, and this way I can have an extra one or two. They're not the most expensive things in the world, the blending brushes. So if you want a couple extra ones, it's not a bad thing to have. Okay, you see I tapped a little ink off. I don't want it to be super, super dark. And now I'm going to come in all the way from the side here. I'm just going to start working that color in. And again, I'm using a super light hand here. See how it's misty? It's just a mist of color coming across, and I'm working it up into that tomato soup a little bit. Now I'm going to go back with the tomato soup, and I'm going to go right over gently over that line of demarcation. That's the line where the two colors meet, and just get it a little bit lightly more orange. Now see, you can't see where one color started and one color stopped. And that's because, except for that blob right there, but that was on the cardstock. I can feel it. It's like a gluey thing. You can see it's just misty color. It looks airbrushed, right? Okay. So I'm going to stop with that color. Now I'm going to go to Jelly Bean Green. Alrighty. So again, I don't know what's on here. It could be Lucky Clover. It could be anything. So I'm just going to blend some of that off onto this paper towel. And then I'm going to use a little jelly bean. I'm going to just rub a little off just to make sure it's not. Okay. And now I'm going to do the same thing, coming way off from the side. And then I'm blending that green in. I'm using the lightest hand here. And I don't need a whole lot of green because it's autumn, right? So there's not a ton of green in autumn colors. I mean, there's some, but mostly we're just trying to get to the next color with this because we didn't want to blend yellow and purple together or yellow and blue together. Well, we could have blend yellow and blue together, but I just want a little bit of that olive tone in there. So you can see super light blending. All right. And again, going back over the line of demarcation. That's an old hairdressing term, I guess, when you're blending, when you're doing blonde hair. I'm going to use a little bit more green just to darken it up a little bit. And again, I'm not touching the head of the brush because I really don't want to get a lot of color on there. I just want the brush to graze over that cardstock. Okay. Again, you can see there's no heavy lines in there, right? Okay. Wilson's head is going back and forth watching the blending. Is Wilson the cat or the dog? Or your husband? Okay, so now I'm going to use some Turquoise Sea. I'm just messing with you. I'm guessing Wilson is a cat. Wilson's going to try to get the blending brush. Okay, so now I just cleaned that off again because I didn't know what color was on there. I'm going to use a little bit of Turquoise Sea. Oh, Wilson's the kitten, Elizabeth. Okay. Aw. Okay, Wilson, you ready? Here we go. We're going to do turquoise now. Same thing, coming in from the side. And then just adding that little layer of turquoise. I'm going up into that green a little bit. I should expand upon this video and show you some interesting blends with like peach Bellini and some of those colors. But you can see how pretty that is. It does look very rainbowy there. So we're going to add quite a bit of purple, quite a bit of that Plum Punch. Plum Punch is our next color. This is turning out a little more rainbowy. But it's good. It's good information, so we'll just go with it. All right, now I'm going to use the Plum Punch. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing, coming in from the side. Actually, I'm going to come up from the bottom because I'm going to get as much dark plum down here as I can. And then I'm going to work that up into that turquoise. And you can see, remember I told you that turquoise gives you that wild wisteria look when you get it into the blue, into that the purple into that turquoise. You get that wild wisteria. See how it's kind of wisteria right there? Okay, I'm gonna get a little more in here. Okay. All right, so now we've got that. I'm gonna go back over that with the blue a little bit. Not much though. I really want more green. I think that looks pretty good. All right, let's take this off. Let's see. There's no blotchiness on that. It's just a fade. Isn't that nice? Looks like my shirt. It's like my my shirt. And you can reuse these masks. I would just tape them onto the back of whatever stamp set you tend to like to use, you know, with the design. Just pop them onto the back of your stamp set and you can reuse them over and over again. I would suggest you use the same color blend though with the same mask or close to it, because if you started down here with yellow, it would pick up some of that purple and then you'd get brown. All right, so we got to make sure our stamp goes over the goober. That shouldn't be a problem. So let's use the Misty and figure out. I really like the Autumn Silhouette stamp set. I think it's just a beautiful stamp set. And this is just a little different. It's not so bright rainbow. It's more of a softer rainbow. We could have eliminated some of the colors. Like we could have stopped there and just made those areas bigger if you wanted less color. But I really like the whole rainbow thing. I just have fun with it. So we could do this one. I always like using this stamp. We could also stamp random leaves in there. But let's use this one because it's easy and I've already talked for almost an hour. For a sunrise or sunset, so my favorite combination for a sunrise or sunset is to go from blue, like a darker blue, to a lighter blue, to a purple, to a pink, and to a peach. And that is a reverse rainbow, right? You've got the blues, then you're going, you could start with purple really, but you could also blend some of that purple over the pink. Yeah, I would start blue, purple, pink. Yeah, that would work. And then you would be skipping red, going to the orangey color. Yeah, that would work. That's a really beautiful, beautiful blend. Try that for a sunrise or a sunset. Blue at the top, purple, pink, peach. Or you could, if you don't have peach, go to orange. Orange would work too. Okay, so now I'm going to ink this up with some black ink. Like you haven't seen this stamp used enough. It's one of my favorites. I just reach for it all the time. But that's okay, right? This is all about the technique and the information, not so much about the card. Okay. Let's give it one more layer, because you know me, I like the layer to be as black as possible. But that looks so pretty on there, doesn't it? Okay. There we go. Okay, so there is my blended design. Yeah, I definitely could do different color blends in different lives. If you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments. Because, you know, we could pick 2 different color blends and do a video of how I blend them together. And we can avoid the rainbow look altogether in those videos if you want. Oh, I guess I need a greeting. So I didn't leave enough room for my greeting. So let's pick a different stamp set for a greeting. Let me just run over to my stamps here and see what I have. This set is so cute. I think I'll use one of these. This is from the Bold Bloom. This was the incentive set. So I think I'll use that. And I'll use Thank You So Much, since it feels like an autumn card, and autumn cards always feel like cards of gratitude in my book. We'll just do it right down here. It'll be really cute right under there. I was going to try to stamp it freehand, but it is a brand new stamp and I haven't really used it. So I have a really neat technique to show you guys if you're having trouble getting your solid stamps to stamp well. And I'm going to show you that in another video, probably very soon. I might even make a video just for that. So with these kinds of stamps, I like to stamp light and do 2 layers, then stamp hard and squishy and distort the delicate nature of the font, if that makes sense. So 2 layers are always better than 1 hard push layer, if that makes sense. Okay, so there's that cute little, oh my goodness, I can't pick it up, cute little greeting there. And now I already cut this out, so we're ahead of the game. I just need my tape runner. We're having our new release next Tuesday night, everybody. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. So stay tuned. Okay. So there we go. And then I could put this on any color card base. I think I'll use something maybe like honey mustard, or do I have honey mustard here? Or did I use it all? I think I have it. I think it'll make it look more autumny if I add it to an autumny color like that. Don't you think? I think I'll do that. Okay. So let me get my big paper cutter and cut it, and we will be ready to give this card away. I know black always does make it look so much better, doesn't it? It gives it that pop. And also, once we get the charcoal brown back in, that will be another good choice. Because like I said, it's kind of like that mascara, you know, when you don't necessarily want black, but you don't want brown. You want something in between. That's what charcoal brown is to me. It's very, very, very dark, grayish brown. All right. This is distracting the beauty of this card. Okie dokie. So, Tom, do you have any more words? Or are you worded out?
Well, this has been quite an unconventional kind of approach. I guess you could call it a bit around the blend. But hopefully we can maybe slip out tonight and blend the elbow.
Ooh.
For a little bit.
A little fruit salad, maybe?
A little fruit salad, yes.
All right. Very good. I loved your words today. That's very funny. Okay, well, there is the finished card. So I hope you got some good information out of this. All right, Tom. Look, I matched my card, kind of.
Yes, you do.
Okay, so who gets today's card?
Okay, we got a drum roll coming up, giving away this beautiful fall card. And the winner is Ashley Sipes. Ashley!
Ashley, congratulations, Ashley. Woohoo! Ashley, all you have to do is send your name and address to info@ginakdesigns.com. Tell them you won the ink blended card, and I will get that out to you. All right, everybody. Well, this has been so much fun. I'll be back again with another 5-minute card video this weekend. And then next Tuesday is our release party. So we sure hope you will join us for that. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy. Tom and I love you all so very much. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.